Have you ever seen Moist Critical? Charlie, have you seen him play a horror game?
No, I've not seen him play a horror game, no.
Nothing.
Oh, really? He loves that type of stuff, does he?
Flinch.
Yeah. That's just not me. I'm that guy whose child... You saw the video where the child just touches his arm whilst he's playing a horror game and he screams like a big girl because the child came out of nowhere. That's me. So. Like, I'm not Moist Critical. I'm not Charlie. I haven't got those balls of steel or whatever you want. You know.
Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of everyone's favorite podcast, the Critical Arcade Podcast. I'm your co-host, Nick.
And I'm Dave.
Hello, Dave.
Hello, Nick. Are you well?
Yes, I am well.
Why? Like, after this game, after reviewing this game, you're still well?
Yes, I'm still well.
You're good? Like, please.
I like these games.
Yeah, you're one of those people. Which there was a lot of you out there. I think I'm the minority here. But yeah,
definitely
like these
not.
games.
No, I think people who like horror are the minority. I wouldn't call them a minority, but I think the majority of people would rather watch a comedy.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's still to this day, I don't understand the want to be scared. I watch scary movies, but even haunted houses, I've got no want to go in because I don't want to be scared. I don't want somebody to jump out at me and go, rah.
It's a lot of fun. You should try it.
I, as a kid, there's a theme park in England called Alton Towers.
Yeah.
And the first time I went into it, I just closed my eyes the entire time throughout the whole thing. And till that day, I fundamentally still do the same thing. I'm not one of those people who likes being jump scared or
I get it.
Tricked.
Well, ladies and gents, if there are any of you who like horrors, look behind you.
Ooh, that would be creepy when people they look behind them and something was there. Even if it's just like their sister or their child or the dog. Like, whoa, how did you know that?
Two scenarios. Yeah. If there was something behind you, leave us 5 stars. Yeah, if there was nothing behind you, also leave 5 stars.
5 stars, yeah, exactly.
Yes, please do it. Just do it.
Way to go. Anyway, if you haven't guessed, we're doing a horror game.
I am happy. I enjoy horror games.
You love horror games.
It's the good stuff. It's that good.
And this is more than just. I would define this more. This is a psychological horror game. This is more than just. I know Dead Space or Doom. I don't know if you define Doom as a horror game. It's kind of horror-esque.
I don't know. It's in a horrifying setting.
Yeah, it's got demons and Mars. Yeah.
Okay, we can get into the gameplay for this, but there's a stark difference between your power levels in Amnesia and in Doom.
Exactly right. Ladies and gents, we are playing it's the very first Amnesia game, Dark Descent.
That's right.
Released in 2010. It's now 14 years old.
That's insane.
I don't get me started. Like, I can't believe the game. To me, this game's still like newish and recent, and it only came out a while ago, right?
Yeah, because this was one of the first kind of viral hits that the internet popularized.
That's true. I remember.
And older games can't be popularized by the internet because the internet wasn't around for older games.
Yes, very true.
So this is kind of contradictory. It being an old game and also viral.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's like you said, it is one of the first games in my memory where you're right. It was like, God, what did we have? Facebook was probably talking about it, and people were all talking about the Amnesia games, and God, YouTube. Yeah, YouTube and Facebook
was
have exploded
filled with this game.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. I remember seeing it more on the internet than anywhere else. Just people talking about it or reviewing it and stuff like that.
Your good old PewDiePie, Markiplier.
Yeah, exactly. The old school. That's it. Yeah, the old school lot.
Yeah.
It was developed by Fictional Games.
Fictional.
Is it fictional or frictional? Sorry,
Frictional.
Fictional Games. Who also did you ever play the Penumbra? I don't know how you say it. Penumbra?
No, I didn't.
They were the games they made before this. They were also kind of like a psychological thriller-esque to them. Puzzles and stuff like that. They got kind of a good following. They didn't, of course, explode like Amnesia did.
Yeah.
But they actually got a lot in common. They you can see if you ever played.
I can imagine. Would you
say
the
gameplay and the puzzles and stuff are kind of alike in the games?
Would you say the devs learned from Penumbra to make Amnesia the hit it was?
Definitely. If you actually just look back on it, you can see key notes from the original those games, and then it
so Penumbra had to walk for Amnesia.
Yeah,
to run.
Exactly. And then they made Soma, which I think was after Amnesia, but before...
They made Soma as well.
Yeah. I never played that. I remember hearing about it or seeing it, but I didn't really do much else.
It's got some thick existentialism.
Oh wow, that's got like a hardcore type.
Oh yeah,
play and think and discover. And like,
yes, 100%. You play and you think.
Yeah, okay.
But you also think and you play.
Yeah, I like it. They're also known for, of course, Amnesia's got what is it? I don't know what the other ones are called. Something of pigs.
Yeah, so it's The Dark Descent. That's the first one. And a couple of years after that, they made A Machine for Pigs.
Machine for Pigs. And then they just released one not too long ago, right? The Bunker.
Yes, I think that was the fourth Amnesia game. For a load of years, those were the only two Amnesia games.
Yeah, that's right.
But
really
then they made a third one called Rebirth, where for, I think, the entirety or big chunk of the game, you're a pregnant woman.
Ah, okay. Makes sense. Rebirth, yeah. Right. I'm with you.
And then the fourth one called The Bunker.
Yes, it's almost set in like World War II or 1 or something, right?
Yes, I think it's World War 1 and the entire game's in a bunker. That also looks just terrifying.
Yeah, don't get me started. All of them do. Even if it's 14 years old, this game is terrifying. I was looking back at this game actually won the 2011 Independent Games Festival Award for Excellence in Audio and Technical Excellence Award. I don't particularly know what that is.
Ladies and gents, this is the Indie 500. Yes, I always forget to mention that.
That's true. It's an indie game, yeah.
We bring forth indie games that you should play, because these are the good stuff. This is where the heart of gaming is.
Yeah, agreed. Especially like with Skull and Bones just came out, and it's horrible.
Oh no, I don't.
And indie games are still just knocking it out the park.
Yes,
so,
yes,
yeah, exactly.
Yes, Skull and Bones, get that Patooey, get that out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Get out of the way. So should we jump straight into narrative, because
let's do it.
I'm still sweating from this. I got cold sweats even talking about this game. I'm scared the shadows are going to get me.
I'm not entirely sure. I didn't finish this game. Let me say that up front. I know it's not a super long game, but I didn't finish it. Although the premise for this game is in the title.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of a given, right? Yeah, by all accounts. Guess what? You have amnesia.
Whoa! No way!
And
so
it's dark,
you can see...
I don't descend. So yeah.
Yeah, okay, and you descend into darkness.
Yeah, exactly. It really is, yeah. It's very
it's
well.
in the title.
It is what it says on the can, yeah.
How do I say it? So the game starts with you seeing the last 10 seconds of you before amnesia-ing, if I can use it as a verb.
Yeah, that's a great verb, yeah.
And then you wake up in this decrepit castle with no idea what's going on around you, which is a great start to the game. I know it's played out by now that...
Yes, it has now, yeah.
At the start of a story for some sort of piece of media, a person has amnesia.
Yeah.
What? So they're learning the story with the audience. What?
Whoa, brand new idea, right? Back in the day, it was used, but it wasn't as mainstream it is now, because they use it in the premise that's why you have to relearn all your skills and why you can't do this anymore. But no, this is... You're Daniel, you awake in the deep, empty halls of Brennenburg Castle in Prussia.
Good names.
Which is great,
Good names.
Granted, by the way, also was a place in Prussia years ago. Brennenburg and a person. He was a person.
Really?
I don't know much more. This is old German history, I believe.
Yeah.
But I do know those places do exist, which I always like when games use real locations.
I think this game was set 100 years ago when Prussia was still a place.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly correct. Yeah, I believe that's true.
And it's I enjoy the fact that you, Daniel, who've given yourself amnesia.
Yes.
You tell yourself this through letters.
True. Yes, you've picked up the notes.
Exactly. You're not a dumb person who didn't think about what's going to happen after you give yourself amnesia. You leave yourself clues.
It's like a really dark P.S. I love you. Just lots of little love notes to yourself saying,
yes.
Oh, you must kill Alexander and why you should do it. And yeah, it is clever. It's a clever idea.
I like it.
No,
it's
it is
not
very
being
clever.
Dumb.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought there was one keynote which doesn't quite spoil the story.
Yeah.
But I loved that the idea that the amnesia, the reason people were getting amnesia, or the one reason why you've got amnesia, was that they were being tortured. Yeah. And you had to give them amnesia so that they couldn't remember what the torture was like, so they'd be scared of the torture again each time they got tortured anew. Which I thought that was a really scary concept. The idea that they did it on purpose. They gave people amnesia so the torture could be fresh again. I thought, whoa, that's
torturous
dark.
in itself.
Yeah. That's dark and twisty.
That is. Even though you might not remember it, that would have a hugely long-term effect. Of course, physically, but I think emotionally as well.
Oh, definitely. And if you think about this game's like that. The narrative is fairly simple, and I know that it goes a bit on about Baron Alexander and his I believe he's trying to create a portal between worlds in some regard by using the verte or vitae from torturing people. Gets a bit mystic, I suppose. Am I right? I know I played this game. I watched my brother play it. I know it's he's the Alexander, big bad. You're Daniel, you gotta kill him, and he's doing something bad with torturing people. There's a reason he tortures people to get some sort of substance. I remember that.
Isn't it vitae? I don't know.
I think it is vitae.
Here's the thing. Your narrative, man.
Yes. But then
I'd be more than inclined to just listen
This is the funny thing.
Tell me this story. I played the game. I didn't get very far. I enjoyed the game, but
ladies and gents, I was telling Nick the other day how far have you got so far? And I was like, I'm past the wine cellar. I just got some acid to burn the way. And he says, that's not far. And I think he doesn't quite understand that the third 40 minutes to an hour, I'm slowly edging around the corners because there's a shadow after me. I'm not speed running this thing. Everywhere I go, there's some sort of whisper or noise or distortion or talking.
That's the game. That's horror games. That's Amnesia.
It took me 3 hours to get to the wine cellar because I didn't know where the hell I was going. But yeah, anyway,
let me be the first to commend you.
Yeah.
For playing this game for our fans. We thank you, David.
Yeah, this game was hot. This game was so much worse than Dead Space and stuff for me. You can shoot things. You can do things. You can beat up the bad guys. And this game, ladies and gents, you don't get any sort of weapons. You can't damage the bad guy. All you can do is hide and try and not go insane, which is just another level of pressure on playing a dark, scary game like this because it's too real.
It does feel like it. Would you say the immersion in this game had its effect on you as it should?
Oh, definitely.
It immersed you.
It's this game does that beautiful balance of thinking you're vulnerable. Yes. You know, if you were what's the guy in Dead Space, right? I want to say Vincent. What's his name?
In Dead Space?
The protagonist in Dead Space.
Isaac Clarke.
Isaac, sorry. At least there you're in armor, you're protected. Daniel in this game is just you. He's got no skills.
He's a dude.
Yeah, he's an educated British English guy. That's it. So you're not a soldier. You're not super powered. It's literally virtually you in this space. So you hide. You're scared. There's a vulnerability to that other games don't give you. That you're genuinely just scared and vulnerable all the time. And that is scary. This game puts that across so well in the narrative and everything else you'll hear later.
I do think taking away all of your, still giving you agency, but not giving you any tools to fight back.
Yeah, right.
Makes you so extremely powerless. Whereas, Resident Evil.
Yeah.
And like you said, Dead Space. Those are giving you the tools to fight back.
Very much so, yeah.
You've got
that's
some
right,
power.
Right.
You're still overpowered, but you've got some power. And that's why I think a game like this and a game like Silent Hill.
Correct, yeah. Got the same kind of feelings from it. Yeah, you're
exactly.
right. Exactly.
It does so well. Granted, the horror is done well too, but the feeling of powerlessness adds to it. It just adds to it.
Yeah, I remember there was a great interview with the, I think, artistic director or just the director of the game.
Yeah.
And he said it was great fun for him to watch people play it on YouTube and stuff because he knew where the bad guys were programmed to be.
Of course.
And he'd watch people play and he'd know there's not a bad guy for another 20 minutes.
But
he'd watch people play just edging around corners or hiding in cupboards and just switching on all the candles because they're freaked out. And he knows nothing's there. And it just made him giggle internally because he's like, whoa. People were making their own fears. They were making their own terror or own nightmare about the situation. And he knew there was nothing there. So it's
because you know who's your biggest enemy in a horror game.
Well, yes, yourself, your mind, right? Yeah,
yourself, exactly.
Yeah. Or fear
in a
itself,
setting
right?
like that, you're being scared, but you're scaring yourself. Have you ever seen Moist Critical? Charlie, have you seen him play a horror game?
No, I've not seen him play a horror game, no.
Nothing.
Oh, really? He loves that type of stuff, does he?
Flinch.
Yeah. That's just not me. I'm that guy whose child. You saw the video where the child just touches his arm whilst he's playing a horror game and he screams like a big girl because the child came out of nowhere. That's me. Like, I'm not Moist Critical. I'm not Charlie. I haven't got those balls of steel or whatever you want. You know. But this game does take it to another level. Narratively. Even the little notes, even the little like narrative notes of people, you get narrative notes of people who worked for Baron Alexander, who got screwed over by him or got captured by him, and all the little narrative stories.
There's a crew that he promised some wine. I'm assuming that's who you were mentioning.
Yeah.
And then he locked them in the cellar and then tortured them.
They kind of died and kind of burst from the inside or something, if I remember them
something
correctly.
Like that.
Yeah,
yes.
no, all those little stories build a nice little world, but it's just the crawling through it and hiding and hearing and all the other things.
Crawling
for me
would be the best word.
Another world. No, it is very good. Narratively, it's fairly simple, but everything else, as we'll talk in a moment, visually and audio is where this thing goes up to 10.
Fine, let's go to visuals then. That's where this game just ups the ante. The graphical fidelity isn't... I mean, it's an indie game made 14 years ago. It's not... The graphical fidelity isn't...
It's not what we're used to today.
Super, no.
Yeah, exactly. No,
but there are things this game does. The visuals and the audio. There are certain tiny little tricks this game pulls.
Exactly.
That you don't care how bad the graphics is. Because in this moment, it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's immersing you and making you shit your pants.
Exactly right. It's that same thing they do visually in this game. Like you said, it's not perfect. It actually reminded me, you never played the old Thief games at all, did you?
I saw them.
The older ones, for granted, before your time. It reminded me, the same atmosphere reminded me. The graphics are good, they're not great. But just their use of camera in this game is just off the charts. The way they blur the screen and then they move the camera from an unstable perspective. Like, it's no longer just a vertical and horizontal axes. It starts shaking. So you can feel your guy getting terrified, which is terrifying. The screen goes blurry. It tilts. There's even one bit where I didn't work out the menu system until a bit later, so I didn't know you could actually check your insanity on that brain thing, didn't? Right? I just thought, okay, what's going on? There was one part where my guy literally just like collapsed and then got up a little later. He was so scared. I was also scared thinking what the hell was going on. He collapsed on the floor and like had a breakdown and then got back up again. And I don't know if I was close to dying then or not, but I just thought, damn, this is insane. My character collapsed from fear, and I was like,
I know,
whoa.
That's horrible. I would also... This is a game, and my brain knows this is just a game. It's not... But if I was in a setting like that, just pants-crappingly terrifying, I would also collapse from fear.
No, exactly, and that's the vulnerability that this game gives that other games don't. That you know, we all say these things like, we're so cool. So if you were ever in a scenario when you were stuck on a space station and xenomorphs, or I can't remember the bad guys from Dead Space, what they're called. Necromorphs, thank you. The idea that you see all the movies, let's gear up and get the vests and the guns and stuff like that.
We need to fix the tram. Okay, I'll go fix the tram now.
Locking in a room. I'm staying in a locker. I don't know. I'm going to the escape pods. There was no way that I'd be like...
Really? No way, no.
If it was the last choice, sure. But my rational brain comes into play, and I think to myself, I would be fairly useless at it. I can swing a bat and stuff like that, but if there's some sort of armor-piercing necromorph that's going to chop my head off, I might just hang back. I'm just saying, that's just me. Yeah,
I'm not going to lie. Yeah. If I was on the USG Ishimura, hundreds and thousands, millions of miles away from any type of redemption, I would just take the nearest weapon and off myself.
Yeah, that's true. I know. Sorry, this is getting very dark, ladies and gents. But yeah, that does seem like a rational choice in a lot of these games.
Right, it is. Unfortunately,
seriously, yeah, it really is kind of more rational than a lot of the things games make you do. But like visually, this game, it's got that lovely degree.
Amnesia,
yeah, exactly. Amnesia's got that lovely degree where there aren't bad guys around every corner.
No.
There's actually very few, really.
Although it's trying to fool you into thinking there is.
Exactly. I'm sure if you actually wrote down the amount of times you actually see the bad things, I bet you it's 12 or 15 or 20.
Yes,
right?
it really
it's not
isn't
many
that
times.
Much.
But you're just so freaked out when those times might be occurring, if it's around this corner. Yeah, it's so... Oh, it's too much. It is
horror games where there are enemies around every second corner lose its luster just within
that's fundamentally
10
Doom, right?
minutes.
Yeah,
yes,
that's
exactly.
Doom.
That's
Every
not a
room's
horror game.
chock-a-block full of demons and monsters and flaming things.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not scary after a while.
It's a horrifying setting, sure, but it's definitely not a horror game. This one does it so extremely well. You don't see anything.
No,
but the game's trying to fool you into thinking
they don't even let you. They don't even let you look, do they? This game, one of the features, if you stare at the monsters, not only will you lose your insanity faster, you'll be found faster. So when you see a monster, gameplay-wise, you're supposed to turn around and find a cupboard or a little hole or a corner that's dark, where you just turn your back on it and kind of hope that you're not gonna die. It's so dark.
Slender game did this as well.
Yeah, it's true.
Slender, the 8 pages. What year was that?
Ooh, was this... I'm not really much of a... I don't remember years that well, but that seems close to the same time.
2012? That can't be. What was the... It is! This was after The Dark Descent. Oh, really?
Well, maybe it was just using the premise that was popular then. Well, Amnesia...
I guess so.
Like I say, this game's so scary. It's like, I don't... Again, I try to wonder, I know you like for games like this and other people, why would you want to, I had to push through the review of this game, because, of course, it's what we do here. We review games and have some fun. But I was first 20 minutes in, I'm thinking, geez, this is just... Give me a puzzle. I was so happy to come across a puzzle. Yeah. Something to do that wasn't sneaking around a corner, or hearing torture, or... hearing monologues from the different notes or Daniel's.
That's the game. That's the game, baby.
Yeah, this game is scary. This is one of the scariest games I think I've played, and I haven't played many, but this is definitely up there. This is psychologically gets you, which is well made in that regard.
Unfortunately, though, it does look dated. So for people who can make that can switch off.
Yeah, it's true.
Their heads that this game does look a bit old, but it's still scary. Yeah, you can switch that off. You'll be fine.
Yeah, but it is, like I said, I can understand the younger generation and stuff looking at it, and it would put you off a bit because it does look dated. It hasn't aged well in the visual, just the tables and the doors and the valves or the cranks you got to pull. They are all very kind of old school graphics for the Xbox 360 era, say. And the PlayStation 3. Was this just a PC game?
I think
or did it come out the consoles?
I don't think it got any other releases other than PC.
Makes sense.
Because of the level builder support.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that's true.
I don't think you can port this to any console.
Yeah, and because of the control system as well, because it's more just pick up and move and drop.
And the inventory system, all
exactly,
of that.
Yeah, no. Anything else visually?
Yes, you know what looks the absolute worst? that's aged horribly.
Go on, what's?
The monster design.
The monster design, they somewhat reminded me of Stranger Things, but like a really vague, toned down version. Have you watched Stranger Things? I don't know.
What in Stranger Things?
You know that big thing, I don't know the names, the big thing that opens its mouth with lots of teeth. It's the
Demogorgon in season 1.
It's season 1, yeah, that thing.
Yes.
That thing was scary.
Oh, that makes sense.
This
yes,
looks like it's
Demogorgon.
cousin, like 4 times removed, yes. Who's a bit bold. Yeah, you're right. They're not that scary anymore, especially with what we're used to in games and all the other things that come out in, say, Dead Space and all the other scary things. Yeah, they're not this. The thing is, sorry, I know I'm jumping on your point. You say they're not that scary anymore.
No,
I didn't like them. I didn't find them jovial or comical when they were near me. I was like, that's scary enough for me, mate.
Of course not. I mean,
that will do me.
In context, if they're chasing you, they want to kill you. That makes sense. But they look so unintentionally funny now with their bulging eyes and their dad bod.
Yeah, no. I had the same
dad bod.
Have you ever? I know you played Half-Life 2, right?
That's
you're
right.
a big fan, right? Have you played the original Half-Lives?
Yes.
And going back to those graphics, it's just so funny now. Like the Half-Life 1 graphics, when you just not the remake, the original graphics of the scientists and the bad guys.
Yes, from 1998.
Yeah, I agree. Those bad guys just aren't scary anymore.
No.
Any of the aliens, any of the
head crabs on the zombie.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
No, they're not.
So I get what you mean.
The noises they make are though.
True.
But I think the noises. It's. I keep saying this every single time, but the noises can change something that looks dumb.
Yes.
From being goofy to scary.
Agreed. Like as everybody knows, I'm sure horror games, and I'm sure this is what you're getting at. That visually and sound just are such bedfellows.
Yes.
You know, you one without the other would feel empty and horrific. But when they work, they just work on such another scale in regards to video gaming or scary games compared to just like Battlefield or something like that. Just sound in this game is insane. Is this? Do you want to jump to audio? Got anything else?
Let's do it. No, let's go to audio. It's
okay, audio man. Like,
come on.
Now this won an award, right? This is the Excellence in Audio Award, right?
So this game, it's difficult to judge the music in this game.
True.
It's only there to serve one purpose, and that's to immerse you in the atmosphere even further.
Yeah.
If I could give an award to this game for one thing, it would be the atmosphere.
Yes, agreed.
And the atmosphere is a mixture of audio and visuals and a bit of narrative because of the setting. So the atmosphere takes the cake easily. Yes. And the audio plays a big part in that. Not necessarily for the music, but for the sound design. Man, the sound design's good. Yeah,
but I'd say this is one of the reasons it took me so long just to get to the wine cellar. Because, it's night and you got the headphones on, just like most people. And then you just get that, it's a cliche, the creaking wood or the wind blowing through the castle rock as you're just going through a hallway, or footsteps from somewhere else, which isn't you. I know it's all cliche, but with the darkness and you collecting tinder boxes and just the sense of vulnerability that makes you feel you're alone in the castle.
Yes.
There aren't other people. There's no one who's coming to save you. There's no rooms of people that you can go and help you with. You're alone in this big, dark, scary castle.
That's just how horror games work, Dave.
Yeah, I know, but it's just the echoes and the footsteps and just the fact there's no life in there.
Yes,
is portrayed in the sound in this game a lot, which just adds to the level of tension when you hear anything.
It's really crafted well too, because they don't use the sounds too often, so you get used to them. Every now and then they'll just throw in a sound they know will mess with you, but they'll put it soft enough so that you'll doubt.
Yes, yeah.
So that you'll second guess yourself if you even heard it or not, right?
But that's one of the things that got me is that he starts hyperventilating. Daniel, the guy you play, when his insanity starts going too high, he starts breathing heavily, and you can start hear him going. Like you can hear him on the brink of breaking,
stuff.
of just trip and just collapsing or just going into a coma or something, and it makes you stressed out. It makes you go,
It does.
I need light. Where was the last time I put light? Where's the chandelier? It just gets to you. This was tough.
Yep. My favorite part of the sound design of this entire game is that sometimes you think you hear footsteps next to you for no reason.
Yeah, don't even get me
None.
started. But
You know there's no one, or you're 80% sure there's no one next to you, behind you.
Yeah.
And you're walking, and then all of a sudden, you hear 2 pairs of footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
So you stop, and then you can hear those footsteps for a second too long.
Yeah.
Right? You stopped, but there's another second of footsteps. Yes, I am shitting my pants.
No. I'm in a cupboard by the second step. I've found a cupboard. I remember where the cupboards are. I hang out in the cupboard for like 30 seconds, which I'm not even sure. Like, light helps you gain your insanity. Or gain sanity.
Your insanity.
Gain sanity, sorry.
I think it just stops the decline.
But in darkness, you're supposed to lose your sanity. So I don't know if hanging in a cupboard actually made it worse, even though
that's a good point.
I felt a little bit more protected because I was in a cupboard, and for some reason that works. I actually read an interesting note. Somebody said one of the designers of the set pieces and stuff in the game, there's supposedly a note somewhere in the game that denotes that the more insane you become, the more likely it is for the bad guys to find you.
Really?
Which is a lie.
Oh.
They put that lie in there to add another degree of tension to the whole scenario.
Good.
They didn't program that.
I didn't even know that.
They didn't program that in at all.
Yes.
But they put a note there to say,
the
more insane you go, the more likely you'll be found.
Don't suck at this game.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to become harder. That reminds me of mechanics from 2 games. Sorry, this is going to be a tiny tangent. Have you ever played one Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice?
No.
Okay, have you ever played Demon Souls?
Yes, that I have played. That one I'll give you.
Okay. In Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice,
yeah,
you got some sort of rot on your hand.
Okay.
Right? And the game tells you when you start, the more you die, the more this rot actually spreads across Senua.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And if it reaches up to her neck, the game deletes your save file.
Whoa, stressful. That's super stressful, right?
Right?
Yeah,
so you've only got a certain amount of lives. You don't know how many.
Yeah.
At that point, you could be thinking, oh, damn, can I die 5 times, 50 times? The game doesn't tell you.
That's a cool mechanic.
Some meta stress.
Yeah, that's a cool mechanic. That is super stressful.
Yeah, what you said reminds me of that. And also in Demon Souls, they've got this thing called world tendency.
Okay, go on.
Which is a very old and dated mechanic because a lot of people don't like it at all. It makes a complete sense after I tell you this. So, when you're in a world in Demon Souls, there are 5 worlds, I think. Yeah. When you die in a world, the world tendency becomes worse.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And if you do certain things, it becomes worse. If you kill an NPC, it becomes worse. If you die with humanity, it becomes worse. When it comes to a certain point in the negative, the game will just add more enemies.
Okay, got you. Just to mess with you. Yeah.
This is how the game turned out in actuality. When you die enough times, the game will add more enemies.
So the more you die, the harder the game gets.
Exactly.
Jeez, like I love these mechanics because they're inventive and they're brand new, and I understand why people would get frustrated by that. Because we all know Demon Souls games and stuff like that. As soon as you get ganged up by like 3 or 4 enemies,
you're done. You're toast. Done. Bye.
That's right, exactly. So I can understand that frustration, but I love the idea of the mechanic. It's always good to see people trying a new idea instead of
that's it. I like the experimentation.
Yeah, exactly,
so I think it would have been cool if they actually coded in that
it would.
The monsters would find you easier if you were
more insane.
If you had a tendency to be more insane more often.
But I do kind of just love the trick. I love the
yes,
almost
that
the
well.
out of the box thinking of just putting
that
a note
too.
in there.
That too.
There's even a
that
weird little Easter egg in the game where if you, in one of the rooms, if you stack up all the chairs or boxes, you'll go right to the ceiling and there's a little note where they just say hello, which is a nice little, nice little note you can find. I don't think it would make me...
is... You only get that in games from 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah,
or
true.
Indie games.
Yeah, that's right. It's like the Grand Theft Auto, was it Vice City or San Andreas?
Yeah.
Where there's actually a note on the wall that says you're not supposed to be here.
No, that's Doom.
Oh, there's a few. There's few followed.
I can imagine.
I know it's basically if you clip through the wall, if you find some sort of weird string of circumstances where you can get somewhere and they've added.
Yeah.
You're right. Those things were always a lot of fun to find. And I do find like, you know, it's a bit sad they don't do that as much anymore.
I know. It's because game is such a serious medium.
Yes, of course
now.
it is.
Can't
It has
joke
to be,
around.
right?
This is serious stuff.
No, agreed. There was another great one in Max Payne 2.
Can't have fun here. Go have fun in Helldivers 2.
Max Payne 2 had a window you could go through, and then when you went through the window, there was a body on the floor with a wooden stake through its heart.
Oh,
and
yes.
in blood it was written Buffy. Which was a great little nod to the times. It's when Buffy the Vampire Slayer was big on TV, and then Max Payne 2 came out roughly the same time. No, it was a great little nod. Those things are fun.
Fantastic.
Anyway,
why can't games be more like that? Okay, anyway.
And the audio in the game, I know it's weird to say it, but I guess it's in theory because of my upbringing and the history, but
yeah,
horror games set in Europe are always scarier to me. I know it's weird, but we're in an old castle in Germany. Your player is English. The Baron himself, I can't remember where he was from. I'm guessing German. And I don't know why. It's just because of history or something like that. I always find
it's different.
Europe scarier. I don't know why.
Well, of course, because of the folklore.
Yeah, I guess that is true.
Europe has some deep.
Really has.
Deep folklore. You know better than I. But
no, I think you're right. I think it's like upbringing, and we've all heard of Aesop's fables and the Grimm.
Yes.
The Grimm tales.
The Grimm
I think
brothers.
are fundamentally European as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's just something added to the fact it's all set in Europe, and that just an old castle. You know, it just reminds me of like Wolfenstein. Granted, an old game I haven't played in a very long time. There's just something about European horror that just adds it to another level.
I get it. I think you're onto it.
The fact you're British, so you're in a strange land, if you know what I mean. I know he was an educated English guy, Daniel, so he probably did live there. But the idea that you're also a foreigner in another place where you can't... I know, just there's a degree of loneliness to that kind of just adds to the gameplay as well.
You are a foreigner.
Yeah, you are literally
That is also
alone.
Scary in and of itself.
Yeah, there's a vulnerability and loneliness to that aspect of the game too.
Okay, so you were able to relate to Daniel on a much deeper level than I. Do you think this could also be why this game scared you much more than it did me?
Agree. Yes, I think so. Strangely enough, on a weird note, I am called Dave, but I was originally going to be called Daniel, just as a weird... My original name was going to be Daniel. It got changed just at the last minute. So yeah, I actually do weirdly relate to the English guy called Daniel. I was also, strangely enough, I am half German. So
you've been in Germany.
I am Daniel fundamentally. So that's why it scared me so much more.
Jeez.
No, it's a weird coincidence, but yes. No, I think you could be right. I could have just... I'm, of course, not much a fan of scary games. I like playing them, but there probably was another level of immersion I had because
I could 100%. Have you ever been in a castle in Germany?
Yeah, a few. Is what I found. My family loved. My family on holidays loved going to castles and going to the torture chambers and stuff like that. So I have actually been in a few castles in Germany. So yeah, I just realized now I know why I was so stressed out in this game. This was too real for me. Yeah, by all accounts.
That was very real for. Wow.
Yeah, no, this game is scary for some. It was probably another level for me to some degree.
Of course, now it all makes sense.
But this game is scary. Jeez, just the one thing I'll say, the storyline is the least scary part for me.
True.
The atmosphere and what you're doing is the scariest. The storyline was just kind of the carrot on the stick.
Yes, I think because the game doesn't let Daniel do much.
Yeah, correct.
powerless, and you can't do much to combat that fact.
No, exactly.
You can only do one, maybe two things. Make light
correct.
and run.
And I think narratively, I forgot to mention, I think it's got 3 different endings.
Oh, it does?
There's one, I won't go into it. You can either succumb to the darkness and I guess get killed. You can somehow overcome darkness and defeat Alexander.
Yes, that makes sense.
And there's another one where, I can't remember what the thing is, but you think you throw someone's head through the portal before Alexander gets through the portal, and that gives you another ending, another like a different, more, I guess, folklore-y ending where I think you die, but then I don't remember exactly, but I know there's 3 endings. I know it's something along those lines.
Okay, so this game even has multiple endings.
Yeah, that's cool. So
this is great.
I forgot about that.
This really is.
There's no way I'm playing this game 3 times, though. There's not a chance in hell.
But if you were a YouTuber and your career kick-started, then...
That's true.
Yeah, I played this game 500 times.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Anything else audio you want to talk about?
No, let's go on to gameplay. One, I think that's fine, right? The gameplay is fine, maybe even lacking sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. If you were really to break it down, I agree. Yeah, it's not really the most...
Technically, sure. Yes. You're not doing much, but there's one thing that this game did that absolutely took everyone by storm. And that's the physics engine.
Oh really? This okay. I remember. Granted, I guess I'm too used to physics engines being so common now, and just got a canon.
Now it's common. Yeah. But in 2010,
that's true. It's true. Yeah.
In 2010, a physics engine like what was the popular physics engine called then? Havoc.
Oh yeah, that was odd.
Right. The Havoc physics engine, which is what I think this used. That was cool. That was just cool. Picking up a chair and throwing the chair and seeing the chair just chair against the floor was cool.
You're right. It's a funny thing that you're describing now, so it sounds so completely not cool.
Yes.
What, just moving a chair is cool? What are you talking about, Nick? Like, what the hell?
But not just moving a chair, throwing the chair.
Some of the puzzles also had like a nice physics to it. Like when you had to take the piece of wood out the rope trapdoor,
to open the trapdoor.
Yeah, there was. That's true. They did actually. The puzzles were simple, but they did have a degree of physics and like rationale.
Yes, and you don't just click on the piece of wood. You need to tug at it with your mouse.
This again, if you don't have context, we're praising something very strange right now. Like you get to hold.
Please
the
take
wood
it in context. We're tugging in context.
Yes, it's one of those weird things. You're right, in these games, that wasn't a thing. Normally, back in the day, ladies and gents, 14 years ago, you just press X or Enter and it would do it for you.
Especially
the crank games. Would move or the lever would go down and stuff like that. We all know that we've all played that. This game, you have to move the lever. You have to pull the rope, the wood out the rope to allow the trapdoor to lift up and stuff like that, this was a big thing back then because it was a new immersive aspect to gameplay, which wasn't a thing then.
Cool. Well, I enjoyed it.
Yes, I agreed. One thing I think this game did gameplay-wise, which is reminded me very much of Resident Evil, is just the scarcity of tinder boxes or lamp oil.
Yeah, oil. Yes.
I was just... It's one of the... Like, tinder boxes... I was slightly confused because tinder boxes weren't in a box. I know it's a weird little thing. It was in a cylindrical pot, and I don't know why they were called tinderbox. But anyway, the stress of having a tinderbox or only having a certain amount of oil for your lamp.
Okay, so we should rather just call them tinder cylinders.
Tinder cylinders, yeah. But the stress of only having 12 and knowing they're the only way to truly increase your sanity back. Granted, there were some areas that had light themselves. But I was going through tinderboxes like they were my best friend. Because
same.
And then
there's one point in I think it was the big wine cellar that had the large wine barrels.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the first time you see the butt of the monster.
That's true.
Or you think you see it. And I didn't know how to progress, so I just used all my tinder on that place. I tinder cylindered the hell out of the wine cellar.
It's just And one of initially I didn't know that it was using Tinder. Sorry, using Tinder is just a weird sentence in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Because I just thought you were switching on the lights. You know, in so many games, like we talked just now.
Oh, you just switch on the lights.
Pressing enter on a candle would just switch them on, or pressing enter. But I didn't note until a bit later that I was using those Tinder boxes to do it. And I was like, there's not enough. And of course, later on in the game, you get potions for health and sanity, and there's 10 throughout the whole game. So you've also got to resource those or ration yourself.
The scarcity is just another added layer of stress. This game is just stress simulator.
It really is. It's so wrong.
In Europe.
Yeah, it was so wrong. The idea that you're alone in a castle, very little things, you can't shoot, hit anything.
Nope.
I'll give you, they kept tinder boxes in the weirdest of places in Germany. I don't know what that's, under the bed and then hiding in here and in a barrel. Granted, that's probably in most games. Go on.
But even that, I just want to mention, isn't that just cool as well? There could be a pile of barrels in the corner of the room, and you're thinking, I can pick up each barrel and throw them to the other corner, and there could be an item in the corner. Yes, and there usually was.
That's true.
Right? That's what I mean. The physics engine in this game had some meaning behind it. There was actual functionality behind it. If you didn't utilize the physics engine, sorry, tough game.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I know. I agree entirely. There was one bit. I know you're a Monkey Island fan. You played the Monkey Island games, right? And I know it's weird. How am I comparing Amnesia to Monkey Island, right?
Do it.
There's one bit in the game where you have to make an acid and get to a door so that you could melt the membrane that was on the door in some way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, now that you mention it.
Now, weirdly, that reminded me of a scene from Monkey Island. Do you know what scene I'm talking about, out of curiosity?
No. Which Monkey Island game?
Monkey Island 1. I think it was 1. The first one.
Okay. The Secret of Monkey Island.
That could be it. I forget the names, but yeah.
Could be it.
Can you remember there was, sorry, so we're going on a weird tangent. There was Otto was kept in jail. He was in a jail cell. No? And you had to go to the pub, go to the back and get grog, and then take your grog to the jail cell to help melt the lock on his door so he could get out.
Wow, and Grog did that.
Grog did that because Grog, of course, is just a caustic alcoholic beverage for pirates to drink. Weirdly, I had that weird vibe playing this. I'm scared out my mind, but just the idea that I had to take acid to a door to melt it for some reason gave me Monkey Island vibes.
Yes. I love that.
I thought the puzzles were actually quite good. They were kind of not tough, not easy, but if you don't know what you're looking for, or you're looking for... The acid one, for example, required 3 components. So you had to find all 3 components first.
Yes. And they were in a completely different place.
Yeah. And that means you've got to go back to the areas you may have missed. So you've got to search places. I'm not a fan of searching places anyway. There's bad guys in there. And, I might die.
But that's the thing. That's the tightrope this game is walking. You've only got so much mental capacity,
yes,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
You need to concentrate on your light supplies. You need to concentrate on not being seen. You need to concentrate on your sanity. And that's taking all of your mental capacity. But now all of a sudden, you need mental capacity to look for ingredients. So now you're stressed even more because you can't concentrate on everything at once. But the game is demanding you to.
Oh, and another beautiful aspect, it only just dawned on me, there's no map.
There's no map.
You can get lost, as I did. Right?
You got lost.
No, I'm not good at my direction, never have been.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, okay, I didn't go in that room on the right in this room. So I'll go back about 7 different rooms, and I go, is this the room I was talking about? And then I'll get lost. And you could get lost. I was desperately trying to press M to bring up a map so I could find out where I was. But there is no map in this game, which again just adds to that vulnerable, lost.
Yes.
It's scary. You're being chased down.
It really does.
Resource, like you said, resource management aspect. It's insane.
Even
the
worse.
Subtleties. Yeah.
There's a big library section.
Yes.
Where you need to get a key, right? And at the way end of the library, through a couple of hallways, I get the key. And now I'm thinking, okay, this is an older game. I got the key, so now I can move on to the next area.
Yeah,
easy peasy.
Classic, yeah.
I move out of the office, and I can see at the end of the hallway, the monster is walking away. All right, so now they've added the monster into the mix.
Yeah.
Now I need to concentrate on the monster. All of a sudden, I have forgotten where I am.
Yes, exactly. No, that's exactly it. I know exactly that feeling. Happened to me all the time. And then you forget, like, oh God, is it the left?
It's good
right?
design.
Yeah, no,
right.
exactly. There's that ferociousness of trying to remember where you're supposed to go, and
all
not
you
die
need to do is GTFO of this library.
Exactly.
You just need to escape the library. You got what you came for. Get going. But no, you've forgotten. It's dark. There's a monster.
Yeah, and you're getting no help. You're like,
that's right.
No notes,
map,
no nothing.
nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got less light now because you were standing.
Yes, exactly. And you've run out of tinder boxes, and your lamp oil's running out. Yeah,
because that's the point of the game. The point of the game is to stress you out.
It is.
And if it's doing that, it's doing its job.
It is doing its job.
This is good game design.
Genre. Yeah, and it is those little things when they add up to something great. That like just the idea of no map, or the idea of, we all know, limited resources being scary and putting you on edge.
Yes.
All those things tie up with the visuals and the audio, and it's just one stressful, scary scenario, which a lot of games, even to this day, don't do well. There's a few good standoffs, Dead Space and Silent Hill and Resident Evil to some degree. Some of the newer ones get a bit too easy and stuff like that.
But which games gives you agency but takes away your power?
Yeah,
exactly. I'm guessing what new horror games do that? The new Alone in the Dark remake seems like it's going to do that.
That's right. And in theory, you could argue, like you said earlier, Slender Man. You can't really do much to him, right? That's right. But you're right. It's that fear is just another level, and this game is almost the granddaddy of it. There are examples of it earlier, but this one is one that tied it all together to make this immersive, scary environment. You
call this a survival horror game?
At its fundamental core, yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can die of just getting insane. You can, and which of course, running out of resources would make you turn insane. Right. So
would that be it? One of the main draws of survival horror is resource management.
Yes,
and it is a thing in this game. You do need to manage your resources.
It's a big, strong thing in this game entirely. And
you mentioned earlier you only get 10 health vials throughout
something
the
like that.
game.
Like it's very limited health and very limited files to reduce your insanity bit gauge. They're very limited and hard to find. A lot of them are hidden underneath rubble and, like you said, behind brick walls or something like that. So yeah, this is very much resource management. It is that they did that intentionally for that extra stress level that you get from it. And yeah, it works. I was driving me mental. My guy literally collapsed and died at one point. I was actually slightly relieved. He fell to the floor and the screen went black. And I was kind of thinking, in games sometimes that happens, and then the next scene you've been dragged to a lair, or you've been dragged somewhere scary, and that was a game mechanic. But no, this one just said you died. I was like, ooh,
GG.
I was like, thank God.
Because it's a release of the tension.
It is, yeah. That little bit where okay, you can just de-stress, get yourself another coffee, something like that, yeah.
Since we're still busy with gameplay.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the stress-inducing elements of this game. There's a thread that this game walks for tension and release. And I think most horror games need to do this as well. You need to walk the tiny thread that is tension and release. Music does this as well. Most games, I think, do this. Yeah. They put you in a tense situation, and the payoff is the release from you overcoming that situation.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and
horror games are essentially just extremely tense situations, and your release from that situation would be escaping it or overcoming it.
Well, it was always like I remember in Resident Evil, the safe rooms. You know, that
exactly.
scenario when you see a safe room and you're like, oh, thank God. Like, let me go in there for a second. Yeah, exactly.
Perfect example.
Right. Yeah.
The safe room music would be the ultimate release. That's why some people fall asleep to that.
No, agreed entirely. And yeah, it's that overcoming it to get to that safe room in those games and stuff like that, to get to that 100%. Scenario. Well, oh, thank God. But then knowing you've got to leave the safe room to go into the stressful environment
Exactly.
No, it's crazy.
That just brings back that same familiar tension.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right.
And a lot of people don't like that tension and release.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of tension, and you only get that release because of the buildup of tension.
Yes.
And that initial buildup of tension is why a lot of people do not like horror.
Yeah, exactly. That's fundamentally one of the reasons I don't. It's that.
Yes.
Because I immerse myself in games a bit like too hard sometimes. It's like one of the great examples. Have you ever played Time Crisis at the arcade, the gun game, which I was, you press the pedal, to get behind the wall and stuff and to come out. I used to move my body to do that. So I'd move to the left to go behind the wall, then move right to shoot. Because
that's cool.
I got so immersed in the scenario, it wasn't just, it was real for me. I was saving the world.
Ladies, one at a time.
Yeah,
please.
exactly. So yeah, I get a bit too immersed, and of course these games, that's not kind of healthy.
Cool. I want to try that. I want to try that the next time I play Time Crisis.
Oh, you should. It just makes you so much better.
Yes, I can imagine.
Anything else gameplay-wise?
No, I think we can move on to performance.
Did you have any performance issues?
I did. So this is where our scores differ slightly. Okay. You gave this a good performance score. I gave this a bad performance score.
Ooh, how come? Out of curiosity.
It's because I didn't get big bugs. I just got loads of tinier bugs.
For example?
I had some bugs, mostly regarding the physics-based engine, which I know I applauded earlier, but this was still 14 years ago when it had a lot of kinks that it needed to sort out.
It really did, yeah.
Let's say those potions, for example, that puzzle.
Yes, yeah.
So some items would fall out of reach.
Oh, damn. That would be
very
unfortunate.
So I would need to pick up an item, but it fell out of reach.
Oh.
So I couldn't pick it up.
So you had to restart everything at that point, like restart your game.
Thankfully though, it wasn't one of the potions that I needed that I had to pick up.
Okay, yeah,
it wasn't game breaking.
Okay.
But there were bits where I needed to pick stuff up, or stuff that I did pick up, I couldn't pick up again because they fell out of reach. Or another thing, they got stuck in each other.
Yeah, I know what you mean there. Yes, that was like the old physics engine thing. That would
they would
be
get stuck in each other. The polygonal variables or something.
Yes,
whatever.
Yeah, that's right. No, that was a thing back in the day. That was when, like you said, it wasn't fine tuned yet.
No,
so those things did happen.
This was 2010.
Yeah, no,
of course it wasn't.
It was like I had the same kind of bit. There's quite a few puzzles, but there's one puzzle where you take a rock and have to break through the wall. Or something heavy. I can't remember if it was a rock or a bust or something. You had to break through the wall.
Oh, yes.
The amount of times I picked that up and tried and it didn't work. But you had to smack it at the exact spot on that wall somewhere. So I didn't think that was the answer until I went back and thought,
but see, that's what I mean. I'd categorize that as a performance issue.
Yeah, I'm just too used to those types of things, I suppose. But yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's not fine-tuned enough that it worked.
Did you just swing your mouse while holding it, or did you right-click?
No, I swung my mouse while I was holding it. Was I supposed to right-click? I was moving my mouse right and left. Like I figured I was doing a swinging action. Like ugh.
Yes, well, right-click is throw.
Ah, yes, I do know that because some parts of the game need you to throw it. At that point in the game, I didn't know that. Only later on did I realize that.
Later in the game, you get to the I think it's just before the dungeon, some flooded hallways.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And there's an invisible monster thing in the water. You can just see it splash.
Yeah.
Not make any noise. And in that part, sorry, I'm trying to think now. In that part, you needed to pick up body parts and throw it across the room so it can eat that.
Yeah, to distract him with them. Yeah.
To run. Yes. Do you think they got lazy and they didn't want to make a monster? I'm just thinking now, is that laziness?
It's like, it's the end of the day, it's a Friday. Oh, I'm supposed to make this big fish type monster, but I don't want to.
Hey, boss, hear me out. Hear me out.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't imagination the scariest thing, right, boss? So what if we just make it invisible and people pretend
Right?
it is,
Yeah,
right?
okay, I'm gonna do that. Your hair looks lovely.
Yeah, it's the genius idea. Okay, have a good time, John. See you later. Yeah. Maybe you're right. Maybe I love those types of stories because they have to exist. I hope that's a thing. I love the idea. Oh, God, I've drawn my 18th monster. I can't think of a 19th.
Can we just clock out?
Yeah.
It's my kid's birthday tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. I bet you those things have to happen. They really
Of course it happens.
Yeah, it
Games
really
are made
does.
by humans. I love these stories.
And I
you
swear,
spoke right?
Suicide Squad was entirely that. Let's make a purple blob. Let's make a purple blob that's bigger. Purple blob that's smaller.
Let's
make
not
a purple...
bring up Suicide Squad.
Sorry.
Agreed.
I
was gonna. You mentioned earlier that stuff like the note on the ceiling that just says hello.
Yeah, exactly.
That reminds you these games were made by people.
Yeah, exactly.
Humans.
Very true.
And it's an indie game. That wouldn't fly in a AAA game.
Yeah, not anymore.
Sorry.
It's sad to think it, because there were in the past, like Borderlands had a ton of Easter eggs in it. Like a fireplace, a resting fireplace from the Dark Souls and
Minecraft cave full of actual creepers,
and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I remember there's one of those in there somewhere.
Batman.
And Batman, yeah, exactly. See,
yes.
Some of them still had life and like fun added to it. You're right. Recent games, I can't hugely think of one where that's now a thing. Indie games do. There are still indie games that nod at their inspiration, but big AAA's not so much anymore. Yeah.
Indie games, that's where it's at. Go play indie games. Just go do it.
Yeah, agreed. So performance-wise, it was just lots of niggling little annoying bugs that just kind of combined into one.
They added up for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I didn't really have much of a problem. Couldn't really complain that loading screens, because this was the era of loading screens.
Yeah,
that's a
2010. Of course, there's gonna be loading screens.
Yeah, and I didn't really have any problems. Like I said, yeah, I give you the physics engine needed ironing out. It wasn't, but it was new tech. So, like we all know, anything that new comes out,
it was exciting.
So
serviceable, sure.
Yeah,
but exciting.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It is what it is. Like I said, you had a bad playthrough. I had a decent playthrough. I think it can just happen either way, right?
Yeah.
If you in that scenario where you drop something like, which didn't happen to me, or got out of reach, that would be very annoying. It didn't happen to me, so it wasn't a big issue. Which is why we do this game. Why we review both the games individually, so we can both get different perspective. So yeah, it's a hit and miss performance-wise. Yeah. Okay, value for money. What did you think?
I think the value for money could be quite high for this game.
Okay.
Since the main point could be that you want a scare.
Yeah.
You'll definitely get that in this game.
That's true.
Right? If you're buying this game to be scared, you're going to be scared. Good job. Well done.
It's got 3 endings, which is...
Three endings. That's another one.
3 playthroughs.
Just a different experience each time. Near the ending, granted. But the biggest reason that I think the value for money for this game is quite high, I think you should have this as well, is the level builder.
Yes, that's true. That did open up for all those people who didn't think this game was scary enough, and so they thought, yeah, go on, fans, go make your own things, right? Go
you do it. You do how it's done.
And I'll give to their credit, whenever fans get involved, be it Skyrim and all the other sites, they do amazing things.
Oh, yes.
They're like, yes.
Whoa. Of course. I mean, in the main game, you're running down an old castle in Germany being hunted by corpse monsters.
Yeah.
And then also, in the same product, you could be flying down the hallway as Goku being hunted down by Thomas the Tank Engine.
Of course. No, exactly. I've always loved the modding scene or the gaming scene where the people, because they're so inventive, and so I love the little stories. Did you hear about? Sorry, I'm going a bit of tangent. You know the XCOM game?
Yes.
Yeah, the recent one, the recenter ones, not the really old ones.
The recent XCOM game, no.
The last recent, the XCOM 2 and XCOM originally was released in like the 1990s, like an old PC game. So I mean the ones you probably know of.
Yeah, XCOM 2, XCOM what? The Bureau?
No, not the Bureau. The Bureau was horrible, but yes, that is an XCOM game. But anyway, there was a bunch of mods that made a mod called Long Play, where it took the original game and stretched it out for a longer period of time, made it harder, made it more complex and stuff like that.
Oh wow!
Those mods who made that game were then hired by to help build the next XCOM 2 and make a mod for it as well, because they did such a fantastic job.
Yeah,
the modding scene's amazing. Yes. I love it when the modding scene gets help, and I love developers that also allow it.
Yes,
you can understand a lot of them like, this is my baby, I don't want anybody else to touch it, it's my magnum opus and stuff like that. But I love the idea they just made it open source and everyone go nuts, and they did. And you're right, if you're into that scene, the value for money for this game is off the charts.
It really is.
Because you can make anything with it, fundamentally.
It's good stuff, and I think there's still a community for it 14
years
agreed.
Later. I agreed. And
I don't know, maybe the sequels have got more of a community, I don't know.
I know that you can also buy there's a lot of places which now just do the Amnesia collection. The Amnesia collection isn't expensive. It's like $10-12 and you get like
it's a lot of games.
Yeah, the Amnesia one, the one you talked about. There's a lot there, and it is ported onto a few other things now, I believe.
Yeah.
So, no, it is. The value for money is there. If you want a game that's scary, like properly scary, this is it for me. This
I
takes
totally
it
get
to that another level.
It does age. It does look a bit.
It does age. Yes.
You can see its age, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't stop you.
No, exactly.
That should not stop you. Just try it.
I'm trying to go through my brain of games that are scary, and I still really put this up there in the top 3. Like I'm trying, even the new ones I give you, that Silent Hills are scary and Resident Evils are kind of scary. They're kind of campy scary, if you know what I mean. Resident Evil games have got that great campiness and stuff, so they're not.
Ooh, but it's good.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great, but it's not like high levels of pure like terror.
No, pure horror.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
The last pure horrifying Resident Evil 7, and that was I think 7 years ago at this point.
Yeah, wow, jeez, yeah. Yeah, that's true. Is that the? Sorry, I'm not. I don't know my numbers. Is that the one at the bog with the family?
It is.
Yeah, that one is scary.
In Louisiana.
Yeah, exactly. That one is a scary one. I'll give you that one. I'd still put this one above that one though, scary wise, just for that sense of vulnerability.
Oh, would you?
In 7, you chop your arm off. In Resident Evil 7, your arm gets chopped off and you put it back on.
Yes.
Yes. There's a degree of like invulnerability you have. Granted, you can die, but again, that's the fun campiness of Resident Evil games, that they have that level of high intense.
Yes,
like,
there is
gross,
that suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, exactly. Which
there is
fun.
that suspension of disbelief. I do get you. That isn't here. You do feel just like
this is
Daniel.
You
guy.
are human. You are just a human guy trying to take
it.
on something superhuman, and you just feel like how are you going to do this? Nah, it's a great feeling. Well, it's a scary feeling. It's a great feeling for some, but yeah, it really is another level of terror that a lot of games don't do.
For true. This is Amnesia: The Dark Descent. It's so cheap.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Just try it. Just try it.
Really
I mean, even if you don't like scary games, this is what scary games were 14 years ago. This pushed the build. That's why we are still getting Amnesia sequels to this day.
Yeah, exactly right.
Because this was such a successful indie game.
Mm-hmm, exactly right. And fans love it because of the scariness. Like, if you are a scary game fan, you gotta play it. Yes. You've got to see if we're talking bollocks or not.
Just try it at least.
But you've got to play the game.
Yeah, big respect. So our scores for Amnesia: The Dark Descent, we took a trip to Germany 100 years ago, and it was so much fun. And then all of a sudden, they forgot what they were there for. It's almost like they had amnesia.
Whoa!
I know. So they made their way to the bottom of the castle where it's very dark, and they what's the word I'm looking for? Fort Alexander, and turned into the retrograde rating of B-.
Which, like I said, it just goes to show how good this game is. It's 14 years old, And it's the same as Mass Effect and Moonlighter and Mortal Kombat 1 that just came out recently, right?
Come on!
This is up where there were some big players, and that is just because the combination of how scary it is. You know, it is a bit dated. B-
is a very good game.
It is a great score for this game. And
if I could score the atmosphere alone, that's an easy A.
No, agreed.
It's such an easy A.
I am going to uninstall this game after this episode. It's like this game's not going to be on my computer for much longer. There's just that aspect of it. It's gone. I'm playing Power World or something just to make it a little, so I can get off edge and I can just play something silly or fun or cute. Like I say, I have to, I've got to do that.
Oh, we've got something cute lined up for next week.
True. Very true.
Before I'm sarcastic.
I know.
Thank you everyone for listening to this week's episode. If you'd be so kind, you could leave us a review or follow us on our social channels. We're on YouTube and Instagram, but you could also send us an email. I'm nick@criticalarcade.com.
And I'm Dave at criticalarcade.com.
Yes, but besides for your email, Dave, where else can we follow you?
Oh, well, I am out and about, and Nick just so happily helped me remind me that I actually do have a ton of family in Germany. And they actually live in Bavarian Germany, which is the older part of Germany. So I will take you to an old Bavarian castle. And there's loads of them out there. I don't know which one. They're all abandoned and empty. And I will lock you downstairs in one of those castles with no light. I'll give you a match. One match. No box to light it on. And I will keep you there until I'll just keep you there. Granted, you want a free trip to Germany? All right. Yeah, that's that. But if you don't like, like a 1-star Airbnb in the bottom of a castle in the middle of Bavarian Germany, then don't follow me.
That's just kidnapping.
That's true. That's fundamentally this one. I'll just kidnap you. That's plain and simple.
That's not human. That's not trafficking, but that's just kidnapping.
It's true. That's basically, it's very true. Well, it is what it is.
Don't be kidnapped. Rather, follow us on Patreon for exclusive content like Critical Cinema and our post show, which are all very good. Speaking of very good, Dave, what cute and adorable game have we got lined up for next week?
As you heard, Nick, are we playing Pal World? No. Are we playing, Monster Rancher or Pokemon? No. Are we playing Mama's Cooking or what the hell that game's called? No, we're not playing
Cooking
that.
Mama!
Cooking Mama, sorry. The next game we're playing is Alone in the Dark 3.
Yeah.
Just, it's a nice vacation from the horror drama, right? Jeez. So yeah, we're playing Alone in the Dark 3.
Some more horror, and we're taking it back even further. Not 16 years? No, 14. This game is 30 years old.
No, is it really 30 years old?
Yes, Alone in the Dark 3, the second sequel to the influential Alone in the Dark, came out 1994, 30 years ago.
Nice. At least this can't be as scary. Just the graphics alone, it can't be as scary as Amnesia that we just played.
It can't, you're right.
I'll have a little reprieve.
It is going to be a bit stressful, but I think it's just going to be because we're fighting against the controls or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the old school games. Oh, well, if you want to find out, you got to listen to next week's episode.
Yes. Look forward to us going back to Deseto Mansion. Yeah, Deseto Manor?
One of the two, yeah. Granted.
One of the two. Yeah. We're going to be someone Rigby. Ooh, what are their names again?
I don't remember. You're lucky I remember your name, Nick. Let alone the characters of a 30-year-old game. Eleanor Rigby. There you go.
Eleanor, yes. So we're gonna be playing Alone in the Dark 3 again. Please look forward to that next week. We'll see you then. Cheers.